we might have an audience question.
Oh, you're
here.
right. We do have an audience question. We have this like new sign at the top here, and it's really cool. And we don't have a camera to show you, but it is at the top there, and it does say that we should do an audience question. So let's actually turn the cameras around, and there we go. Audience question. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, my name is John. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My first time here. Love it. My question was more for Felix and this whole concept of sexual purity. I understand Felix is using the Bible as some kind of a moral guidepost for his sexual purity, but I was just curious how he would reconcile characters like in the Old Testament, King David, who had a wife and multiple concubines.
Yeah.
So how would he wrap his mind around that?
Well, Felix isn't on the line, so I don't think he can answer that. And I want to let's not strawman Felix's position, because I didn't hear Felix say he used the Bible for his position. So I don't know if that's true, if he uses the Bible. He very well might, but I don't want to like speak for him. I will say this, obviously people do use biblical sort of reference points for what's supposed to be spiritually or sexually pure. And as you pointed out, they're often like terrible and not great and don't lead to super awesome outcomes. So.
I feel like I think about what would I have said when I was still like a Christian and strongly believing. I probably would have made an argument about the old covenant versus the new covenant and how it was allowed at one point to have multiple wives and that, it was treated differently. Of course, that brings a bunch of different questions about did God change? That seems kind of weird. And
people are like, oh yeah, they had multiple wives, but they were sinning. But it's like, but God never rebuked anybody for having multiple wives. That is just not a thing.
He seemed pretty cool with it.
Seemed okay at the time, but I don't know.
So I know that's what I would have said, but I can't speak for Felix.
If anything, the Bible supports polygamous marriages. I mean, you could honestly make a better case for that than monogamous ones. At least if you're just doing Old Testament. New Testament gets kind of weird.
And I have heard some people argue that, some women in particular argue that polygamous marriages make sense only because women do so much housework that if you split it up amongst a bunch of people, then that's great. And so it can be
Well, that's one perspective.
Yep. So I don't think that's what the Bible is advocating for, but,
Yeah, that's very interesting.